Right, how's it going? Can you guys just do me a quick favour and just let me know that you can all hear me and see everything properly? Be a massive favour. So yeah, today we're going to be getting into the house music live stream. This one's going to be quite a varied one. I'm going to go into some things like drum brass processing. Sorry, let me just adjust this. We're going to be going into some bass stuff, a lot of sampling as well, because one thing that I did get from some of you guys last time is that you all used samples quite a lot, and were basically asking me if it's okay to use samples. Now, this is my take on it. Using samples is fine as long as you use them and edit them in a way where they don't kind of sound like the original sample, or use lots of bits from different samples to kind of create a vibe which is different to what you'd find within any of those samples. So the first project I've loaded up is quite a sample based one, and the second one I'm going to load up is kind of a half and half. It's something I actually started this morning. It's kind of samples, and I made like a bass, and I'm going to show you how I kind of made that. But let's have a listen to this track first. So this is a track that I made last year, and it's kind of vibey. How's it going, Mark? Easy Dan. How you doing, Eargasmism? How's it going, Joe? This is now going to start progressing, a few little edits. and so on and so forth. So basically, this track, I was really inspired listening to someone called Mad Villa. He used to go under the name Mad Villains. He's recently had to change it because apparently there's a hip hop group called Mad Villains. So out to Adrian. If you don't know about Mad Villa, I mean, the guy is sick. He's working with me on some new online tuition that we're doing. He doesn't live far from here, but he is knocking on the door, man. I mean, he's got some stuff with Elro and some other people forthcoming, so definitely check him out, man. But anyway, reason why I'm speaking about him is because he inspired me. I was listening to some of his tunes and kind of really liked his vibe and wanted to kind of make something funky, which still banged. And his kind of flow and vibe that he goes down is quite a hip hop kind of technique, which is quite sample based. So that's kind of what I went for, and what I basically did is I just went through loads of hip hop samples, and that's another really good technique and a good tip, not a technique, is when you're making music, try not to make music with samples from that genre. That will make you instantly sound a bit more original. So that's a tip there. I went and drawed for loads of hip hop packs, and let's see what we got. So that's just like some atmosphere thing. So where's the music? Here we go. So what's this? I think this is something that I must have warped, or I don't know. It was just some hip hop thing. And simply I just put an auto filter and used a vintage enhancer, which doesn't seem to want to work, but you get the vibe. It kind of just created a little melody atmosphere, just something to kind of have a bass kind of note for everyone to kind of groove to. That sample seems to be dead. Why is that not working? Oh, hold on. How strange. Couldn't tell you why. Oh, hold on, stabs. Wow. Oh, hold on. My bad, I'm an idiot. It's because that was I've grouped them to this, and then that filter was on. So obviously I didn't want that sound to come in just yet, but yeah, because that's a bit too much too soon. And that's what it's all about as well, is progressing. You know, don't give everything away too soon. You don't want the tune to just slap straight away. So obviously that's kind of doing its thing, holding along. We got a vocal sound somewhere. Where's that? Yeah, this is some. Again, filtering up. Yeah, again, very, very kind of hip-esque. And this vocal, I think I just chopped and looped. And there's some different effects which I'll show you later on, which do some crazy things. But you can see the filters going up. And here's kind of like where you know, where the point when you want to kind of like start saying, right, here's some music, and I just searched for some different sounds all in the right key, and some funky jazzy whatever it is. Again, another trumpet there. I think that was actually like quite a long sample, but I just trimmed what I needed. Yeah, Yeah, I just wanted that first bit, and then that kind of complements all the rest of it. So kind of as a whole, if I kind of solo all this, oh, of course you can't do it all like that. That'd be too easy. So the idea is you want it to kind of all sound like one piece of music. You know, and that is not like, this is what I'm trying to say when I'm talking about using samples. That as a whole is not a sample. You know, that is not something you'll just find straight out of a sample pack. These are an accumulation of many different samples that apart they're not going to sound like this. So this is kind of the way to kind of get your own sound using samples. The bass again was 2 different samples. I think this one wasn't even a proper bass. It was like some sort of Indian drum, and then I layered it with another kind of acoustic bass. So together they kind of work. They kind of make sense together. By the way, is the sound okay? Because I know last time we had some issues, which is why I got the headphones on, because I think the sound was coming through the mic and it was all sounding really distorted. Can everyone hear it okay? It's not like sounding really echoey or really reverbed. It's all sounding good, yeah? Please let me know, because I don't want you to hear it sounding really bad. So yeah, obviously the transitions from the intro into the drop, simple stuff. This one wasn't really that technical. I mean, house isn't about being really technical. It's just about just making things progress and using things in a way that kind of catch you off guard and just take things away, bring things back. Cool, thanks Mark. So let's dive in on some of the other bits on this. So you can hear there the vocals kind of doing some different things, and that's another way to stop your track sounding really repetitive. So where's the vocal gone? The vocal's there. Can you hear all those little glitches? Yeah, so this plugin Tornado is wicked, and Rich Neck showed me this one, and it's really cool. Really good for house, really good for anything really. It's just basically got a bunch of different effects, and I've just automated some of them. So let me just move this out of the way. So if you have a look here, when I click on each one, you can see there's different things happening. And by the way, if you don't use Ableton, use it. It's sick, and it's really simple, which is what you want. So obviously every time you click something, it will come up here showing what the automation is for that dial. So instantly you'd never get lost. You're like, right, where's the automation for this? Boom, it's there. Where's that one? Boom, okay, it's there. So you can start editing, and you can see all the different yeah, so it just does loads of different things. So this is a good one for vocals. I also like to do a lot of filtering, and reverb's good for vocals. So that's a good way to kind of keep interest with your vocals. Obviously the old double kick, that's a very well known trick. Just ducking out the hats when that double kick comes in. So I just took those hats out of there just to emphasise that boom, boom, boom. You'll have to excuse the glitchiness because this project's like, it's got like a shit ton of processing, and I'm live streaming at the same time on the same machine. So there's a lot for this computer. This computer is an absolute beast, by the way, but even the beast struggles sometimes, especially when it's a fully finished project. So I think the next step really, and something that you guys would definitely want to kind of check out, what was that plugin called? That was called Tornado or Tornado. Let me find it quick. Vocals, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, this one, Tornado, and it's by Sugar Bytes. Definitely get that one, man. This is really good for glitching things up. So right, I'm going to go into some processing of the drums because I know some of you guys struggle with that. And my first tip with that, and I think this really works with house, is to keep the kick outside of your drum bus. I don't do this with drum and bass. I think with drum and bass, your kick doesn't have to be quite as beefy. Sometimes I do. Sometimes it depends on the track, but the majority of drum and bass, the power comes from the bass, and the kick kind of complements the bass. But with house, I think the kick is the driving force, and the bass kind of works around the kick. So leave your kick outside of there and process the kick differently. And I've got a whole bunch of different things that I've done to process. Now, you don't need to use these plugins, or not all of them. You need to use some of them. But this is basically essentially a saturator. So just saturate the kick a little bit. Don't go overboard. But that just adds a let me just solo the kick quick. Some might say it's a bit overdriven, but fuck them. I like it. Even more saturation. I mean, if I turn all these off, let me just get rid of this one so I don't get confused. Get rid of the ones which I didn't end up using. Probably save the CPU as well. So if I turn all these off, then you can hear how it sounds. Again, very generic. I mean, it doesn't sound bad. It's a good sample, but I think the sound I was going for was just for a really boomy kick. And I like that. I like that a lot. So let's go through these. So obviously 2 saturators. This max bass, I use this on bass and kicks. It's not actually doing anything really, but just bringing the original bass harmonic up. It has got a basically you can actually add harmonics to the mids. Play around with it, man. Download it. It's part of Waves, and it's really cool. Really cool. Now this is the important one. The Alloy by Isotope. It's super sick, and I use this a lot with my drum and bass. It's just an amazing plugin for drums, and you can do transient shaping. You can do it in multi-band or in one band. In this case, I just did it in one band, and I just raised the attack a bit. So if I was to pull these both down. yeah, it really pops that out. It just, obviously you guys know about transients, yeah. So basically, your transients are, this is your attack, that's your decay, and that's your release. And obviously you want to make sure with your kicks that you've got a nice bit of attack, and depending on what kind of sound you're going, I think with house you want a nice bit of sustain, so you've got a nice fat kick. So that's what I did with that. Ableton only, I think. No, Tornadoes for anything, man. You can download that on. You can install that on any DAW, man. That's a universal plugin. That's by Sugar Bytes. And this is the God Limiter, and this is basically it's 2 gain utilities and a glue compressor. And why do I do that? Because basically you can set your volume levels to the exact volume levels that you want the sounds to output. So I'll give you an example. When I'm going to the mixing stage, I need to know exactly where everything's going to be hitting. And you're going to say, well, that's going to be difficult because all the sounds are going to be hitting at different levels. Well, with this, you got that control. So basically, a glue compressor has something called a soft clip. So whatever you kind of ram into this, that soft clip will clip it at 0 dB. So it will never go any higher than 0. So from there, when you add a gain utility, you can then dial it down and say, right, okay, well, if that's clipping at 0, then I want to dial that down to minus 11 dB. So I know that it's always going to be at 11 dB. I think it's slightly higher, but I don't know why. This is an old project, so I'll probably have to look at that. But you get the drift. It's not, you know, if I was to turn this off, you know, it's rammed. And if I turn this utility off, that's going to be at 0. So obviously you got that control. So I know roughly where it's hitting. I mean, as long as it's near enough there, that's good for me. And so yeah, that's the kick. So if I now go to the drum bus, I like to process everything really. But we're going to go by on these one by one. So we'll start with the hats. Mag EQ. This is an amazing EQ, one of the best EQs you'll ever find, the Mag EQ, and it's part of the Plugin Alliance lot, and it's a musical EQ. It sounds very musical. It's not very phasey. It doesn't sound very harsh. It just adds a real nice tone to your sounds. Really, really good EQ. Highly recommend you get that one. And basically it just has some settings, so you got like sub harmonics, mid harmonics, high harmonics, and it says here, look, you know, the sub harmonics, they're going to be around 40 hertz, then your mids are 160, high mids 650 hertz, so you know what kind of frequency range you're boosting at. And you can just boost to taste. So let's just turn these off. Yeah, so if I mute that, unmute it. Do you know what I mean? It's subtle, but it's really nice. Usually when you boost with an EQ, it will sound really sharp, and obviously that's not good, especially when you go to start mastering and limiting. Don't worry, I haven't got coronavirus. I've just been smoking too much. Got too much time on my hands at the moment. So yeah, that's a really, really nice EQ. The V6160 Native Instruments. Really, really good compressor. I don't use it on everything, but I decided to in this one. It's just a compressor. I don't think I really need to go into compression. You know, you set your thresholds and you set your ratio and you just gain. But this is a really, really good one. Really good one. Check it out. And the exciter. This is an ozone exciter and it's really, really nice. You can basically, it's like a multi-band exciter. So I basically can hone in on each band. So you've got lows, mids, high mids, and then super highs. And you can choose your different saturation settings. So that's just dirtied that up a bit, and then, do you know what I mean? It's just added some harmonics in there that weren't there before, so it's made them nice and crunchy. So they're really good ones to try out. What else we got? So we've got 2 claps, and all I've got is the VC 160 of them. Again, it's just a compressor. It's so simple. Just dial in some settings and just see what sounds best. The idea with compression is not to over compress, just find a happy medium. Just try and get it so it's sounding nice and loud, but not squashed. That's basically the key with compression. It's just using your ears. This M compressor is a really good one. It's again just another compressor, but it just works. It's really nice on percussions and stuff. And it's called the Alicia Empressor. Really good, and they also do a really good EQ, which I've used a lot as well. And then the drum bus. I work very differently with house than I do with drum and bass. Joe, can we get a list of plugins after, if that's not too much to ask? I think you're taking a piss, mate. I'm only joking, dude. Of course. I will. I'll post up the list of plugins after. With my drum and bass tracks, I do a lot more processing, just because the sound is a lot more crunchy and the transients are a lot sharper, and there's not as much room. There's not enough. House has got quite a lot of space to work with. Drum and bass, because it's so quick, you've got to really be so fine tuning. You've got to do a lot of fine tuning and work within such a tight space, so you have to do a lot more, which is a pain. But yeah, with house it's quite easy. I use this. I've actually got the hardware version now of the Tube Vitalizer, which is sick. But this plugin is pretty good, and essentially what it is, it's just like a EQ with some stereo expanding utilities. It works really nicely actually, and you got some subs. You got like a compressor there. So if I was to solo the drums. That kind of works as like a tech house track on its own with no melody. Out to the tech house lads. Yeah, so try this out. It's really cool. It's just basically a multi-purpose sort of stereo enhancement EQ, and with a built-in compressor. The API 2500, not used this one in a while actually, but it's a really, I use this for years, man, and it's a super tight, super sharp compressor. And the idea with it is, as always, attack up, release down. That is it. And go hard with the knee. Joe, I know you're a tech head, mate. You love it. You love the tech house. And this is an EQ. API 550B, really nice EQ, and you just got like a low band, mid, high mids, super high mids, and I think I took down some of the low mids, brought up some of the high mids. I don't know why I did that, but clearly it needed it. Again, some saturation. Saturation is really good after doing compression, because when you compress you kind of lose a bit of dynamic, and when you add saturation after compression you start kind of, unsmoothing it. You know, you start roughing it up again, which is what you want. Start making it sound nice and gritty. And I think I just used a transient designer just to bring the attack up. I've got a few transient designers. One that I've been using recently actually is this one by Kilohertz, and they've actually just made me one of their beta testers. These guys are fucking awesome. They've got some seriously good plugins. Check them out, Kilohertz. And again, the old God limiter trick, and I just wanted to do what I did with the kick with the rest of the drums, so I know that when they go into the compressor, it's soft clipped at 0, and I've dialed it down to -12. So in the mix, now I don't know. Oh, that's why I'm an idiot. So I know it's always at -12. I think that might have been the case why the kick was slightly high as well. So it should be at 0. So by doing this, I always know that no matter what sound, what level of volume this is going to come out of, I can then control that. And that's what producing is all about. It's having full control of what you're doing. You don't ever want to kind of produce and think, oh, is that right? Is that right? Am I doing that right? Is that going to be where I need it to be? You need to be sure of that. And when it comes to the mixing stage, it's just crucial. So definitely use this as a little tip. Gain utility, glue compressor, gain utility, soft clip, and then bring that down to the volume that you want. Eargasm, Kilohertz know the score. They do, man, and they're super sound as well. The guys, I basically showed them some of my tunes, and I told them I'm a beta tester for Native Instruments, and they were like, "Yep, cool, jump on board." And they've sent me their new stuff, and mate, I'll tell you what, if you don't know about Phase Plant, my God, that is a tool, man. That is a tool. It's like a sampler synth all in one. It's super sick. So that's the drums. The bass, like I said, the bass was just some samples. So I just did some compression, I think, with this one, just because I thought it was a bit too much. Hold on. I felt like it just needed to kind of be solidified, which is what that did. And then the second part of the bass, I think I actually took down some of the bass in it. Maybe it was just too heavy. I think the kick might have been overdoing it. And in the bass group here, I've got the Elysium M compressor. So if I turn that off, you can see now the bass is like going up and down volume wise. This M compressor just really makes it go really nice and balanced. I use their gate VST to replace ducking. Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely check out the Kilohertz stuff. And Joe, don't worry, man. This video is going to stay on the YouTube channel, so you can watch it back. Sidechain. I don't use the Ableton compressor anymore for sidechaining, and that is because I came across this. If I can find it, it's basically called the Chain Shaper. And it's part of Max for Live, and basically you can set it to, you know, kick or whatever. And it's basically, it has no clicks whatsoever. It's an amazing, a really amazing sidechain. As I said, it's free with Max for Live, so use it. Vocals. Standard, just some EQ, I think. Some pretty mad EQ by the looks of it. Yes, I can see why. Now you can hear how harsh that is. Yeah, listen to that. that horribleness. So basically, when you oh shit. So basically, when you're working with sounds, if you can hear anything that's really, really sharp, you need to address that. So obviously, this vocal has some really sharp sounds. If I turn all these off. Can you hear that? It's just really, really sharp. So I basically just honed in on them. I was like, right, let's listen. Yeah, there it is. Scoop that down. See you later. Whoops, I just deleted it by accident. Never mind. Roads. Nothing too interesting there. Using a plugin that doesn't work. That's the vintage exciter, and just some filtering, bit of sidechain, and again using my God limiter trick. So that was that. All the musical stuff and stabs. That's all part of that, where you can just see it's just a bunch of EQ. Yeah. When it's sample based, you don't have to do a lot of sound design. Another little cool trick actually, which I find which is really useful, because sometimes you don't want to hold on, let me have a look at some of these questions before I carry on. When you're done doing an overview of this tune, could you show us one of your bass racks? Yes, I can do that, Mr. Spratto. And how you make an effective one. Yeah, no worries, mate. Yeah, listen, mate, your tunes are sounding pretty good, man. I don't think you need too much help, but I'm happy to show. Sharp meaning, sorry, I'm a newbie. Joe, that is a proper newbie comment. So when I was talking about the vocals and them sounding sharp, like really high-end fizz, you know, like just really sharp on the ear. So you don't want that. You want things to kind of all be nice and smooth. And well, listen, when you're playing a tune out in a club and it's being pumped out, you don't want to damage people's ears. Sorry. Anyway, getting back to this. What soloed that? There's a little trick that I've done, because I don't like to use crashes and white noise samples too much. Broken there. What the fuck happened there? Yeah, that's what should have happened. I think there was an automation problem there, but basically what I did is I got a white noise sample and I used this tornado to kind of affect it. So yeah, so it's kind of a bit different. Yeah, it just kind of makes it sound a bit cooler. So yeah, I think I've pretty much covered all the stuff on this track. Let's open up another project. And by the way, this isn't being released. I don't know what the hell I'm doing with any of my house stuff. I like house. I've just got no. I mean, I've got a few friends in house, like me and Relo are good pals. But I have no. Man's got no links. I don't really know many people in house, and to build a whole network in another music genre is going to be years of work. And I've kind of got that now into drum and bass, so I'm kind of sticking with it. I'd love to release some house tunes though, but I don't just want to release and kind of do it half-hearted. Anyway, this is something I started today. I did it for today's session. It's a mixture of samples and a bass that I made. Check it out. That's it. It was about an hour's work. I mean, come on, let me off here, let me off. But it's kind of cool. I was going for, I don't know, really, something a bit weird. Yeah. But basically what I wanted to show you is two things. I've definitely started to realise now that even though using samples is cool for bass, you get so much more control and more power out of your own basses. So this is a top tip. Basically, the sample I pulled off for the original bass was this. And I thought, cool, I like that, but I want some more control. I want to have my own bass. So what I did is I loaded up Serum, my favourite synth at the moment. And made a thing. And this is a really good tip, man. So basically, if you ever want to have the melody of the sample in this, just drag it down. Go melody. Bosh. There we go. Look at that. How cool is that? I mean, it doesn't always work, but it worked this time. And all I did is I just tweaked it. Just went in and just changed it up to what I wanted. I wanted it a bit more stabby. Until I ended up with this. And then I just did some stuff like added a bit of EQ, bit of reverb, bit of compression, and some dimension expander, just to kind of beef it up a bit. Now, I never really usually use reverbs in bass, but I just think with house you can get away with a lot more, and especially when you low cut that reverb, you're not getting any reverb in the lows anyway, so it kind of worked. Makes it sound a bit more natural, a bit more acoustic even. And you know, from there you can do like some do you know what I mean? You've got so much more control, whereas if I was to do that with this, it'd end up just sounding fucking shit, so. Do you know what I mean? It just, because of samples, you're just limited, man. You end up losing the quality, you end up losing all the nice tone, so yeah, you got. So I mean, you can mess around with it a lot more, which is what you want. So yeah, man. All I did with this is just found the weirdest samples I could possibly find, I think. It almost sounds like someone's beeping their horn to tell you to fucking move. Yeah, man, the horn. I just thought it sounded quite cool. Maybe tomorrow I'll wake up and listen to it and think, what the hell? Don't know that. I think it added something. This was just some weird sample, man. Yep, that was the sample, but I like stuff like that because it's all textures. Bitch. Sample saying bitch. Bitch. And yeah, I mean this was a weird one. I mean, I will be honest, it's not my usual kind of flex that I'll go with house, but I just wanted to be a bit different. I don't think I really did much processing on this. I mean, like I said, I spent an hour tops on it. What I did do is I put a little chain on here. Now, this is something that a couple of you guys have been asking me for, and I do lots of different chains for drum buses. This is just one that I've done today. So first of all, let's just mute all of this and that, and just solo the drums. So basically my first point of call usually is EQ, and I don't know why I use this one, but I did. Usually I'd use the mag EQ, so I think I did it just because I wanted to use plugins that you guys will have, but I usually use this one. But I mean, for now it's cool. So I thought, well, it's lacking a little bit high end, so that sounded a bit better. The kick area could do with a little bit of a boost, bit more warmth. And then the clap's about here, so I just pulled that up a bit. I usually do these in the individual sounds, but sometimes it's nice to do them on the overall sound because it kind of makes them all sound a bit more cohesive when you process them as a whole. But don't go too mad, because then it will just sound weird. You know, these are subtleties. I mean, the high ends, yeah, given I did raised it a bit, but that's fine. If it sounds okay, it sounds okay. I am going to actually do this bus for you live because I know it will help some of you guys. So let's do that. Right, so drum bus. Let's get rid of that as well. So this is something that you guys should definitely check out. I know, Mark, you needed a bit of help with some stuff like this, so this will help you out, man. Let me just check out some of these comments first. Bit like Souped Up Dirty Bird Rex. Yeah, I like them, man. Cheers. Make it in dub, then you can do some house stuff. Marketing selected pretty well as an alias Trevino. Did he really? I never knew that. I'll have to check that out, man. Yeah, do you know what? One day I will revisit some house. I think right now I'm kind of knocking on the door a bit on D&B. I think it'd be a bit silly for me to you know, try and dabble in too many genres. I think I need to focus on getting somewhere with drum and bass first. But I mean, I like house, man. I really do, and I will definitely give it a go at some point. And the beauty of music is, man, it doesn't matter how old you are, you'd always be able to make music. That's the beauty of it. I mean, look at Fatboy Slim. He's like, he's 50 odd and he's still smashing it. I'm guessing Ableton special. Ableton is special, man. It's sick. Jodie, never thought of that. Sick. Not sure what you're talking about, but glad that helped. Right, so anyway, let's get into this drum bus. Oh no, man, Marcus Intellect, rest in peace, man. What a shame. The guy was just an unbelievably good producer, and apparently a very nice guy. I never had the pleasure of meeting him, but real shame, man. Right, so let's do this. Let's do this drum bus. So, audio effects rack. It's in audio effects. Throw that in, and then you want to click this button here. Boom, and that will give you a little box to add some chains. Now we're going to add 2 chains. Create a chain. Create a chain. Now what is that doing? That's basically making the signal of the sound coming in here, and then it will go into one chain and the other chain. So it's duplicated it. So that's none. That's 1. That's 2. So we're going to call this one dry, if I can spell it, and we're going to call this one compressed. And basically the dry, we're going to do nothing to it. Oh, my mouse is running out of battery. Great. And basically what the idea is we're going to create like a New York compression style. So on the compressed one, first thing I'm going to do is smash that with compression. So let's solo that. So super over compressed, really nasty. And then what I want to do is I'm going to bring down the lows, because I don't want it to distort the lows too much. And then finally some saturation. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the volume of this right down, and I'm going to bring it in just slowly until we get a nice balance of the two. The nice clean dry signal and the over compressed one. I'd say about 12. So if I mute these both and then bring it back in, you know, it's really brought it to life now. Really brought that to life. And then what I like to do is put the glue compressor on or use a limiter. And that's just a simple way of making a good drum bus. There's lots of different ways you can do it. I do some pretty extensive ones for drum and bass, and I'm going to be doing another drum and bass one next week and show you some stuff. But I thought this week I'm going to do something for the house guys. But yeah, so that's what the drums sound without it all. And then with... Sorry, didn't have that on. Right, so that was well underwhelming, that was. Right, so this is with it off and then on. Massive difference, massive. And obviously because that is now clipping to 0, just like the glue compressor God limiter trick, I can then bring that down to -6 dB or whatever I want. So yeah, that's that. I hope that helped. We're going to go into the feedback session now, so I'm going to listen to some of your tunes. Let's listen to some of you. Look at some of your comments quickly. Drag sample into MIDI. Yeah, man. With Ableton, you can drag samples to a MIDI track, and you can choose to find the either the chords or the notes, which is sick. But yeah, I'm gonna go into the feedback session now because we're running out of time. So this is from Dan Lee. And Dan, you sent me a track which has been removed, so that was very, very silly, mate. Shame on you. This is from Sam Lovell. Spratto, where'd you send it to, mate, so I can find it? Oh, that's right, I found it. Mark, when you make drums, do you have the bus or put it on after it's made? After. So I make the drums first and then I do all the processing after. Yeah, definitely. You get your drums sounding really nice and then add to that if you get what I mean. Sounding really good, Sam. I don't know if you're even in this chat, Sam, but if you're watching back, really good. All I'd say is the kick sounds a bit boomy, quite boxy. And also with the bass, try and automate it a little bit so it kind of it does some different things. Maybe the bass could filter up or filter down, or pitch up or pitch down. You know, you want it to kind of not repeat too much. Ah, there you go. That's nice. Yeah, see, that's nice. I like the way you drop the bass down. Really, really good track, man. Really good. I like that a lot. This is my guy Sprato, who I'm going to be doing a collab with soon. I was really impressed with him last week, man. This is Mr. Sprato. Got another one from Dan Lee. Any others? Oh, we got one from Tefra and Arcos. Nice. Joe, did you not feel brave enough to send us a track? One thing I definitely noticed is the snares lacking a little bit of high end. And maybe a little bit of attack on the transient with a transient shaper. I'd say with the hats as well. Maybe get the mag EQ or something. Beautiful. Love the vocals, man. Yeah, man. Really good. Really good. Yeah, like I said, I think the snare, add some high end to that. Bring the high ends out on the hats as well. Use some transient shaping on both. Kick sounds okay, maybe a bit of limiting on the kick. And the rest is solid, man. That's a fucking wicked tune there, bruv. Dan Lee, Sunshine. One thing I definitely noticed is the drums are quite muddy. I like it though, it's a cool vibe. It sounds like a lot of these elements need brightening up and some limiting. You know, and all these kind of things, man. Like I said before, I do offer one-to-one sessions, and what I do is I actually go in on your tune, so you get a real personal touch, and it's not just a way of me trying to just make money. Obviously, the bills have to be paid, but, you know, it's well worth it, man. You know, I've been doing this for a long time now, and I know exactly how to treat these different sounds, and, you know, I can really help you out. So if you want help with this, man, I can get this sounding really, really punchy and nice, because it's got potential. It's just where tunes lack is that engineering side, and that's 50% of the battle. You know, you might have a really good track that sounds cool, but if the mix and the dynamics aren't there, you've lost it. Okay, we got one from Joe. Yeah, man, this is really cool. I love the vibe on this, man. The vibe's sick, but like I said, the engineering side is just lacking. Is it just a loop as well, that drums? You might want to split it up and try and treat each sort of hit individually. It almost reminds me of like a half chase and status, half happy hardcore. But yeah, nice work, man. Sprato, did you send me another tune? Right, so this is Joe Lee, Submotion.
Feel very warm and loving towards other people.
Oh yeah.
Actually known as a love drug.
Hip hop vibes.
Removes emotional barriers, increases awareness, heightens.
Yeah, Mark, 100%, man. I'm always down.
It has all sorts of psychoactive effects.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's good. Yeah, definitely, Dan. You want to kind of like try and treat every sound differently because you get a lot more control. Well, I wasn't expecting that, Joe. That was different to what you usually make. I thought you was going to send the D&B track you showed me earlier. Sounds cool, man. It's like a, I don't know, it's like a half grime, half hip hop. Yeah, sounds cool though, mate. I'd say again, use the techniques I showed you with the drum bus processing. You know, watch back the video and try and do some of this stuff and see how your drums sound then. I think you're using FL Studio, right? You can do the same thing. I'm not sure how you do it in FL Studio, but you basically want to bus to two different buses and treat one as dry and one as wet. So that's Submotion. Big ups. Sprato, one more from Sprato. Oh, hello. This has tickled me already. Absolute gangster. Oh, we got another one come in as well. I was going to say, brother, you sent me this one last week, but I do like that, man. That's a fucking belter. I've got another one here from Joe Fergud. Oh, sorry, mate. Yeah, big ups, Mark. Cheers for tuning in, man. We'll definitely catch up soon. Stay safe, mate. Yeah, Joe, we do this every week, man. Every Friday, 6 PM. We're going to keep it rolling. The West Indian Massive. Straight away, need some high harmonics in the bass. Sounds very kind of mid-rangey, quite boxy. Drums sound a little bit lost. Do some sidechain compression. I think the amens are sidechain compressed with the kick a bit too much, maybe. Really, really good vocal work. Do you know what, man? With that vocal you just done's just made the tune. But if you made something really heavy, like imagine like a skeptical type vibe with that on top, yeah, then you're talking.
Reste à l'écoute car Guyana Vibe c'est rien que des bonnes vibes pour tous les massifs. 9, 7, 1, 2, 3 pour tous ceux qui savent qui viennent de West Indies massive.
Do you know what, man? I think the drums and the vocals work really well. I just think the bass just sounds a little bit cheesy. It's kind of a bit what's the word I'm looking for? Sounds a bit bait. It's the only word I'm looking for. But mate, listen, I can help you out with that. I think a really kind of sub-harmonics bass would really work with that. Something like I said, skeptical-ish. Yeah, definitely try and have a go at that. Don't delete this. Maybe make it duplicate it to a new project and try something different. But keep the guitar, the drums and the vocal. Espresso sent me something new. Let's check that out. And here we go. Jeez. I love that, man. Not a lot wrong with that, mate. Mate, them basses are super nice. I mean, I'd maybe say the snare just a little bit more on the EQs, maybe get the mag EQ on that. Not a lot, but a bit. And maybe saturate those hats a little bit. God, bass is super nice, man. What are you using? Are you using Serum? I think you're Bristol based, aren't you? I had Ill Truth come down here a little while ago, and I say this to them, man. There's something in the water in Bristol. All you guys in Bristol are just all sick producers. Mate, that is super tasty. Super tasty. I like that a lot. Did I get one more? I think I got one more from Joe. This is the last one I'm doing because I've got to shoot off.
Man talk about shooting. Man talk about all of them things, but they don't do them. Thinking they gangster, thinking they're bad, but all they really do is chat shit and they gas. Man talk about strapping. Man talk about shooting. Man talk about all the.
Yeah, Sprato, try maybe some multi-bandy compression to balance out that the Empressor from Hype. Yeah, the Elysium Empress is really good for taming down and boosting the percussions. Oh, fairs, man. Yeah, Joe, like I said earlier, this sounds nice, man. It's sounds like the kicks. The kick's not too bad. Just that maybe it leaves a little bit of EQing in the 350 hertz mark to just dip out a bit of that boxiness. Maybe bring out the high harmonics and the snare more. Maybe layer it with a white noise, and I use serum a lot to layer drums sometimes to try and get some more punch and some more fizz. Maybe it might be worth doing that. Again, the hats as well need a bit more high end. Sounds cool, man. I like it. Oh. Yeah, so, okay, I think I'm going to wrap it up now. Let's check out some of your comments. There's a reason why Eni is moving to Bristol. Is he really? Probably to save money for critical on aeroplanes as well, and travel and stuff. Yeah, man, I'd love to live in Bristol, but unfortunately I've got my studio in Chelmsford, my whole family and friends. It's a bit difficult to uproot. But I've got a lot of love for the Bristol guys. I've got lots of friends there. I'd definitely love to move to Bristol if I could. But yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. So thanks again for tuning in. Really, really appreciate you guys tagging along and showing me your bits. I'm going to be here same time next week. I'm going to be doing drum and bass again. And I think the week after, I had a request to do some hip-hop. So I'm going to do that. But yeah, next week it's going to be drum and bass. I'm going to be loading up a few projects. I've actually just had a sign into program today, so I'm going to show you that one. There's 2 tunes, and the guys at RAM really liked it. So that's it. Take it easy, stay safe, have a good weekend. Peace.